Yo, 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 what's up? Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'll get that soothing music back. All right, some Tmux work today. Should be good. We're gonna have a good time today. I think this might be just as significant, if not more significant, than the original Tmux plugin I created. So I'm taking my session manager and I'm going to integrate it with a workspace manager. So there's lots of them out there. We're going to do a little bit of exploring. We'll pick one that we think is a good fit for this tool. And I'm going to be able to not only go to my projects that I want, but I'm going to be able to scaffold projects, opening Neovim and starting a dev script and like stuff like that, like all the things you would want to do when you start a project. We're going to integrate that into my switcher. So I'm super excited about that. Let's see. We're going to tell everybody that I'm streaming, and then we'll dive right into it. All right, so this is what I want to work on. Maybe we turn off Stage Manager for the day. So there are lots of workspace managers, is what I'm going to phrase it as. And for those that don't know and haven't used it, this is my Tmux plugin. And we can just kill Tmux, kill node. And these are my projects. These are the things that I reach for every day when I'm working. And I want to be able to, when I go to a specific project, configure it to do a certain thing. So as of right now, if we go to like my website, it just creates a Tmux buffer and it loads my shell, and there's nothing for me to do, or there's nothing done for me other than the session being created. I think it's a game changer. I think it's like my favorite thing about Tmux and the reason I haven't switched. And I have it bound to Command K, so like I can get to other projects like my dot files, right? Or my work projects. Like there's a CLI package that we create. And so I have a couple of ideas here. One of them being like when I go to the fish directory, I always know that I'm going to want to edit a fish file. That's the only reason I would ever go to this directory. So why not have this automatically pop up when I go to this session? And I'm thinking that we'll integrate with multiple ones over time, but for now, I just want to pick one that I think is going to work, test it out, put it to use in a couple of places, and then kind of start to design a pattern and figure out how I want to work with this moving forward. So what's up, Default? What's up, 911? Glad you guys are here. It looks like there's a handful of other people around, so say hi in chat. I'm curious who's here and hanging out with us today. I am on Twitch and YouTube, for those that don't know, and so you can find me there. All right, so let's just do it. I mean, there's no time like the present, right, to just dive in. I originally have this concept of perhaps opting in to this feature, and like if Tmuxinator is your workspace manager, then you can explicitly state that. I've been thinking about it for a few days. If you can tell, this is about a week old. There you go, like the stream. Thanks, Default. Make sure to like and subscribe. And so Tmuxinator is one choice of many, but I'm thinking perhaps we figure out the pattern for these workspace definitions, and maybe we can offer different tools depending on the different workspace. I'm thinking maybe there may be different projects that you want to do something different to. But I think I'm just gonna start here. So I'm gonna zoom this out a little. So there's a lot to work with. I'm familiar with some of these. In chat, if you're familiar with any of these tools, let me know, because maybe we start there. If you've noticed, there's a familiar project here. So this one is, I've heard of Tmux-layout-manager. We'll just kind of go through some of these. This one's Tmuxil, which I love that name. If anyone's Arrested Development fan, I don't know why they came up with that, but I love it. Smug, another one I've heard of. Tmux-oif-fire is a really popular one. Tmuxinator is another popular one. And then TWM is a Rust-based one. You gotta love a Rust-based project. All right, so not to get ahead of myself, but let's look at the ones I can kind of look through these. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of move these around a little. Okay, so this one has very little interaction, so I'm gonna just kind of stop there. Shell-based, I love a good shell-based approach. For those that don't know, my T session manager is just a bash script. That's literally, that's it. That's all the plugin is. Let's see. So we're going to start by kind of looking at these in order of popularity. So Tmuxinator is a Ruby-based project, but it's like wildly more popular than the rest. It's got, let's give it a start. It's got 12,000 people. So that started. So it's more of a complex manager. Part of me was thinking that if we list these, I thought there was like a way you can get completion. That's cool. You can create projects, and then they live in a .tmuxinator folder. So what I was thinking of is like, do we assign a Tmuxinator YAML to a directory, or do we list Tmuxinator sessions? That's one thought I had, was like maybe Tmuxinator results can now be, attached to the session manager. But we run into some conflicts. It's like, well, you're choosing the folder, or are you choosing the Tmuxinator workflow? How does that work? So that's what we're going to play around with today. And see, start project name. So they've decided, oh, that's cool. You can set the workspace with a variable. And then you can pass a project config. This is my idea. So the thought is, this is what we can do. We start, I wonder what project is named. I don't want to give it a name. I want to just like execute it and then provide it, like overwrite the name. I guess that's here, name. And then the config file, my idea is that the config file lives in the root of the folder. So we have we have like a .tmuxinator project.yaml file in the project that has the definition. And then we can, when we scan our sessions, if the session hasn't been created yet, this is the idea. If it's a new session, as like an extra step, I can go, hey, before I create this project, are there any Tmuxinator definitions? If there are, then use that and start the project up with Tmuxinator instead of just creating an empty Tmux session with just a shell, right? With a one entry. So that's the thought. But we're going to spend a few more minutes looking through these, because if I can get by with something a little bit more programmatic, where there's a bit of a disassociation between these two tools, that's kind of what I'm going for. So I don't like that this tool is very much driven by the YAML file and not by the folder that you're interacting with, I guess, would be how I phrase that. But this is by far the most popular. And it's really cool in how you can scaffold this stuff together. So you can give it a socket. You can do hooks. So when the project starts, we want to do this. When a project restarts, we do that. And so there could be, I could already see that we could interact with this screen here. You could have there be Tmuxinator commands potentially that you fire here if you wanted. And then of course, this is sort of the whole point, is creating panes and windows. And that's what I want to do with this tool. So any feedback? Anyone hanging out on stream? Anyone know much about Tmuxinator? Have you used it? If so, is it useful? If not, is there another tool you found more useful? Because we're going to go here. I don't know if you guys, there's no lie in no cell. We're going to, I have no idea if you guys can hear this. Every time, everything he says. Dude, best show of all time. Let's go. There's no I in Timo still. All right. At least not where you think. All right, so let's just scan through this and get a sense of how it works. All right, so it's a gem. Not a red flag, but it's all Ruby based. All right. Does it compile to a binary? I guess not. This runs on Ruby. This is one thing I didn't like about some of these options. Okay, so default, you're still kind of new to Tmux. Welcome to the gang. Let's see how this one works. So we have sessions. Windows are an array of. Is this going to be YAML based too? I bet it is. Panes, yep. And so you define the things you want and it shows up the way that you see it. There was one that I thought was really interesting that hopefully we run into here that was a little bit more like event-based with the shell script instead of like YAML-based with the config file. But here we go. We've got the same idea here where we name things, we give it a root directory, and then we define the layout with panes. You can get autocomplete, which is great. Oh, that's really helpful. You can grab the layout for the current window by running this command. Very cool. That's cool that he has contributors listed. I should make a contributors page. That would be cool. Part of me was thinking of making a really simple website for the session manager. I thought that would be fun because that's, you know, what I do for a living. So it might be cool. Or just pretty up the README might be another path. I don't love this one. I love the name. Of course I love the name. But this one's a little bit different in that they're like layouts, and the layouts, I might be onto something here. I think what I was originally intending was that like these things would come together perfectly, and I think maybe they won't. I was also under the idea that like I could create a script file in the root of the project, and the script would run a tmocil command or a terminator command or whatever command, and I could reuse layouts, which would be really great. So then your script file has some basic tmocil, you know, run this layout, you know, using these options, and it would just detect it and run it. It also could be detached from Tmux altogether, where it's really just fish seeing if you're going into a directory for the first time. But I think that gets a little bit hairy because, you know, you create multiple shells when you're working on a project typically, and so, or at least I do, and so it may end up with sort of some false positives there. Okay, so this one's interesting. Love the name. We'll see how that plays. Tmux-oif-fire, I've definitely heard of this one too. I liked this one a little bit more. So this one, from what I remember, is like a shell script where you use Tmux commands, and the helper commands provide Tmux-oif-fire to manage sessions in Windows. So this is exactly what I was what I was just saying. So you end up being able to call Tmux commands in this sort of like, I guess it's like procedural script where we do this, make the root, create a window, split the window, run this command, do another split, and select a certain pane. Like this is like super obvious, right? Super obvious. And so let's see, you load it by just saying load window, okay. But then how does it know where example lives? That's the question, right? So example just lives here. Yep, which creates that. And it's got TPM support, which is awesome. Setup. So you evaluate Tmux-oif-fire. Yep, that's what I'd expect. And then you can pass arguments. Interesting. I've been wanting to learn more about, what is this? Tmux-oif-fire, Tmux option environmental variable. Sockets. I've been meaning to learn about sockets. I don't know if anyone here knows much about sockets, but there's this idea that each server and each client are separated processes which communicate through a socket in the temp directory. Okay. This is a whole other path. I'm not going to go too deep into sockets today, but there may be a huge opportunity for me to use sockets in this session manager to do a lot of cool things behind the scenes. Because I just started using a project called Overmind. And Overmind lets us use a proc file to basically run multiple commands at once, like a build command and a generate command and a lint command and like those kinds of commands. You can run them all at the same time. But then Overmind uses Tmux and custom sockets to manage multiple, it manages multiple, like in my case, it's like node processes, and names them and lets you like filter and connect and use them. So very cool. I think that there's an opportunity here to do something similar. And so we can set a server socket. Okay, so that's probably like a bunny trail here that we don't need to focus on that today, but it's interesting to see that Tmux-oif-fire specifically lets you override sockets and use them as leverage to manage your sessions and the way in which you load these workspaces. Very cool, very cool. All right, so we're learning. Tmux-oif-fire new session, load window, yeah. Oh, I see. So they want you, this is why they do sockets. So if Tmuxinator knows what socket it is and it's explicit, you can then run Tmux-oif-fire commands in order to get around your program. So like you could attach to a specific window in a specific session using Tmux-oif-fire's binary. So that's actually super cool. That's a good idea. And I've already started thinking about like maybe putting windows here. That would be super cool if like windows showed up as like sub-results or something. Or we recreate this and there's some sort of other, instead of there's a session switcher, there could be like a window switcher, which I know is already built in. What is it? Can prefix, I forget what it is, but there is like a built-in tool to Tmux. Let's see. And Tmux. Windows, find window. Yeah, here it is. So like this tool's pretty sick. Prefix X, prefix S. Oh, that's right. Thanks, Steve. So prefix S is sessions, but this is called select a session. Select the next pane. Nope. That's not it. I totally know there's a more complicated version of this. Oh, I mean, you can open them up with H and L. Something to think about, but we're gonna stay on track here. We're gonna figure out if this is. I don't think this is the route to go because this one's very opinionated. Like use Tmux-oif-fire, create your sessions with them, and load your sessions with them. And so I think it would overload a lot of what I want going for this project. Something that I really appreciate about my session manager plugin is that it's very simple. It uses Oxide, and that's it. Like that's basically the main mechanism. And Fuzzy Finder, I guess that one counts. Are we learning new things today, Steve? So I don't think this one's good either, to be honest. Not for what I'm looking for. Start your development environment with one command. Let's go, Smug. Very clever name. I gotta love the cleverness. And this one's written in Go, but this one it downloads as a binary. So it's just a binary. That's a bonus for us. So it automates your workflows with a config file. So here we go, same idea. Before start, on stop. That one I really like, actually. Like the idea that you can stop processes when you leave the session is a great idea. We just have to figure out what the mechanism is, because I usually just close windows. Like, I don't even care. I just close a window and I'm like, all right, it's gone. Like, it's not there anymore. And here he has start and stop commands. So it's a little bit less automated if you have to run those things. But I love the idea of like, before you start, do this, and then it waits for that thing to happen, and then it moves forward. But look at this. This is so cool, right? He starts a session, and this code editor pops up, and the SSH thing happens, and it looks like he ran tests, and the tests pass. And so all these things are great. This is the idea. This is what we want. Smug, written in Go, and you start. So the fact that we can set variables is kind of what I'm going for here. Smug new project. You can edit directly from here. That's cool. Can we like list projects? Because that would be sweet if we could like show me all of my projects, because we talked about that being a potential solution. Print, what does print do? I think this is a little bit of an overkill for me. I don't need to like start another window on an existing project unless like, I don't know, you guys could give me some feedback, but like when I'm here, let's just go to like this project. If I hit the letter D, it literally knows, it's like a smart detect CLI script, and it knows to start the project up. And it's two characters. It's D and enter, and that's it. And so it's like, that's the one reason why I wasn't so sold on this idea that like I need to invest in a Tmux workspace tool, because I use like, let's just go ahead and I'll show you guys Keycaster. Let me make sure you can see this. So this guy, how do I move him? Where should I put it? Above? Okay. So this guy, I mean, all I do is I hit Command T and it gives me a new window. I hit D enter and it gives me that new thing. Actually, I can do this. Where is this tool? Preferences. This guy's better. This gives you a little bit more. Let's just put it up here. All right, so I hit Command W and it closes. I hit Command W and that session goes away if it's the last window. I hit Command K and it pops up my session manager, and I hit JO and I know that that's going to match to my project. So within like 3 characters, 4 characters, I'm able to jump to what I want most of the time with extremely little effort. And that's what I like so much about my workflow. So I'm not trying to introduce anything to overcomplicate it, I guess is my point. I want to be able to just go to a session and it just start up the project if a file exists. So part of me is thinking that we're just going to do that simple like detect. And I may not even do a YAML-based approach. This was the other one that I saw that was also pretty similar, I think. Is this the guy? No. But it is cool. This guy has a bit more of a complicated layout system. I'm pretty much a single pane guy. I like being looking at one thing at a time most days. So I don't know how much I'll leverage this, unless some of you guys have insight as to like if layouts work super well for you. Tell me more about it, because I want to talk about it. But I am a single pane guy for the most part. So this isn't it. This isn't what I was looking for. Where is it? One of these is like just basically script. Extend with shell scripts. Did we just not get there yet? Or did I close this guy? Maybe I closed him earlier. I didn't give him a fighting chance. Okay. Fuzzy Finder for workspaces. Yeah, so I'm gonna decide. And I think we're gonna go with Tmux-oif-fire. I think Tmux-oif-fire is gonna be our winner for the day. Because I'm not going to stream super late today. I'm in Central Time here in the US, so we'll maybe go another hour, maybe 90 minutes, and we're gonna call it a stream. So if you've got the time, hang out with me. If you've got questions about Tmux or Neovim or anything like that, let's chat as I kind of work my way through this. Because I'm totally down. So it's a shell file. He wants this in the root. He wants you to set it to the path. He wants you to use it and call it on the path, which is not so different from my plugin. And then he does ask to init it. Why do we have to init it? And what are these sockets? Okay, so maybe I won't do this. Maybe I'll just literally support a shell script. What do you guys think, chat? Maybe I said I wasn't going to do it, but maybe I just implement a very basic version of this. And by this, I mean like my own workspace manager or my own design pattern for this, because I have a super simple idea. Because these are all like, none of these solutions that I've seen, none of them say for this specific project, there's just a file that lives on the project for Tmux, Tmux session managing, or for like workspace managing. And that's what I want. And this is fine. I get the idea here, but I think Tmux-oif-fire has something going on for him where it's like this style, which if we want, why don't we just take a few minutes, bin, just read the source code, why not? So some debugging, some dir name work, that's important. Finds itself absolute to the directory. Oh, interesting. And this is the complexity I don't think is needed. If I just always have the session driven by, or the workspace definition driven by whatever folder I'm in, shouldn't really matter. Like I don't think I need this sort of complexity. But if we use a shell, of course, we could just use the script as is if it works for us. So he takes in the command, and then he translates it to a subcommand, and he executes it. So where does he execute it? I guess it's not here. And that's completion, libs. Layout helpers. Okay, so he has done some helpful things. I totally get that. Like v-split, is that something he mentioned? And I bet that's here. Like, aren't there? Yeah, split v20. So this is a simple way of running the same thing. I guess screw it. Let's just make our own. I don't see any of these being useful enough in their simplicity. They just create a bunch of complexity and indirection on the sessions themselves. Like the fact that I have to do this shouldn't matter. Yes. So Steve, there's some sort of, so Steve asked a good question. Let's talk about it. So when it comes to Tmux, right, Tmux-oif-fire just simplifies what you can already script in Tmux, right? Yes. So what all this YAML file is doing is it's abstracting Tmux commands, right? So like for the panes, Tmux allows you to set a working directory, which is root. And in this case, on this window, he's overloading the root directory to a different root directory. And then on the pane, he's running a command. And so for each of these YAML keys, all the items in this array get executed separately as new panes. And that's it. That's kind of the idea. That's how it works. But yeah, you're right. I mean, all this is just Tmux under the hood. So good question. Definitely worth better understanding Tmux, which, you know, I'm a Tmux plugin. I write a Tmux plugin. Actually, I have 2 or 3 now. And so I've spent quite a lot of time thinking about this, of course. Let's do it. Let's write code. And we'll just do a quick one here. So I'm going to go ahead and, if you guys have seen my new script, I have this U script that updates all the things. I want those lazy plugins updated. So that all just happens in the background here. So I have this fish project. And all that this is, if we just LSD tree, there's some functions, there's some confds, there's some completion files, and then there's, of course, the root config.fish, which everybody's probably familiar with. So my idea is to just touch a T file and to make the file executable, which we were just talking about this on my Discord server. For those that aren't there already, I have a new Discord server, which I'll link to in chat here soon in a few minutes. But we've been talking about this, these sort of shortcut helpers, and this is one I really love. I just hit the letter X, and a tool called Gum asks me what file that I want to make executable, and I can select it, and it makes the file executable. So my thought is just making these executable files and just start working with them. So in this case, if I hit T, it's not going to be in my path. But if I do /T, well, that file doesn't have anything yet. So let's just go ahead and let's just bash. I want one of these. I swear I had more of this. So here's the idea. In Vim, go to files. That's all I want to do. If I ever open this project, I just want this to run. That's the idea. So this is like the most simplest thing I can think of. But to your point, Steve, you were talking about this, like we could do Tmux, new window, and we could name it, do thing. And then I think as we learn Tmux's API, so if you ever want to know more about Tmux, I recommend you run man Tmux and just read this. Like I've read this so many times now, just read it. And then if you don't know something, reread it. And if you're looking for something new that you're not sure of, go to man Tmux and find it. So this is new window. And these are the commands that we were talking about. So if shell true split window. So there's all sorts of things we can do here. Oh, you just pass what you want directly to it. So that would work. The most basic approach here is down here. All right, so we say, okay, there's no session. So I am going to create the session. If we basically now have to do a little bit of that current working directory work. So I have to figure out how can I get the root of the session, detect the T file, and if I find it, run it. And that's kind of the idea. So if we can do that, and if this works, then this is going to be dope. Let's do it. And then as I come up with more ideas, you just write a new bash shell that does that thing that you want. And you could copy T shells from other places. So maybe there's some sort of utility that helps me create layouts, and I have like a layouts folder. And if I want to create a new one, I could see myself doing something like that, where I go like, hey, I want to create a new T session from this project and just use one of my pre-made templates and just drop it in and then edit it as necessary. So the question now is, can I get root user? So the question is, when I'm in a session, Tmux, can I like just ask for the sessions directory? That's what I want to know. Can I do that? Actually, it doesn't matter, chat. It doesn't matter. Okay. You'd think someone needs to slap me. We're using Zoxide, and Zoxide will always have the directory, so it's there. We don't need to mess with it. Like if the session is missing, then we use the result, and the result will always be the path to the project. It will always be the path. That's literally what -c does. So now we're going to say, we're just going to say like, okay, hey, how do I check for a file in a specified directory? Let's just see what GPT tells us. Yeah, totally. So it's just going to be something super simple like this. File does not exist. We don't care if the file doesn't exist. We just want to know if result T. That's the thought. What's up? We got some new people joining us. What's up? Hi, welcome. I think this is it. I literally think that this is going to work. So we are going to run T. How would I execute the script? I guess I'm just going to do if it exists, then run it. But if it runs it, is it going to run it? This is the part that I'm not sure of. I need to run it on the session. I can't just run it in the background. Watch, this is probably going to fall apart if I do try to run it. So we'll do fish, we'll close this, and we'll do fish. Yeah, see, something's already gone terribly wrong. So my guess is that it's going to blow up in my face in a bad way. So if I run fish, go to files not a command. Yes, it is. Server unexpectedly quit. Yeah, because it's not going to work that way. So let's just go ahead and config plugins. Let's just get back to the session. This won't work. Echo. So we're just going to say T file exists. And let's get rid of that. And let's just fish. T file exists. Oh, shoot. Now we're getting straight up crash. I've run into this problem before. I had to restart my computer last time. So I may have just screwed it up. Let's see. Is there we'll remove that, I guess. Sweet. So that socket stuff we were just talking about. Oh yeah, sure. You're new to the chat. So we'll just cat it. We'll bat it. It is going to be a workspace scaffolder. So in this case, I literally just want to do in vim go to file. So I want to launch Neovim with my find file picker when I open the session. That's it. It's like, just open the session for me, please. Or open up Neovim. I don't want to push any buttons. I don't want to, I just want to immediately see this screen when I come to this directory, when I create a session for it. Yeah. And so other projects will be more complicated, like start my dev script, create a new tab or new window, start the start Neovim and find my file picker, and then run unit tests in a third window. So that kind of stuff could work. When it doesn't blow up, you are absolutely right. And so the reason it won't blow up is, can I run? The question now is the session gets created and the window gets created, and then I want to send a command to the newly created session. So the question will be, can we just call when we create new session? We have new window. So here's the idea, create the command -D. That's probably it. But that's a detached flag. Why would it? Is it just the argument on new session? So when we create a new session, shell command is the argument. So that's what we'll do. All right. You still with me, chat? So we can't do this. We need to bring back my else. Really? Now I don't want to do it. All right, so now it's going to look like this. So we're going to do that. And that. Or that. I don't know if this is going to bite me if I name the file T, even though everything else is T. Like, it may be too simple. Maybe we'll come up with something better. But I now know how to like Control-Alt-Delete this if everything goes wrong. So that's fine. All right, fingers crossed, everybody. Let's just kill Tmux and let's just run fish. Not an editor command, go to files. So that's not true. Did I write it wrong? Or is it singular file and I'm writing files? That's probably all that it is. So I'm dumb, go to file. All right, that's it. Let's see if it worked. T-fish. Let's go. I did it. That's it. Thank you for coming. That's my stream. I'm just kidding. That's it. That's all I want to do. I don't know if naming the file T feels good. Not first try default. That was like fourth try, sir. But we got there pretty quick. My brain is like turning. Do you see it? Do you see the gears turning? So we don't have to call the file T. That isn't like a requirement here. But I want to name it something consistently, and I want to just give it a bash file that lets me run. So let's just repeat the process. All right, so we're gonna, pretty sweet. I can almost always, for those that don't know, I'm gonna give you a quick tip. I use find files, which is just an FD command. FD, yeah. It's just a telescope plugin, and it just lists the files of the project. Dot files is going to be telescope Lua. I use something, we've talked about this in the past, in other streams. I've used something called, what is it? All recent. And this all recent, oh, by the way, Steve, I forked this. This isn't original, but if I hit Command O, I can see all of the URLs. These aren't URLs, but these are definitely GitHub formatted, where we know owner/repository. And so it auto-generates URLs. And so I can just fuzzy find the thing I want and open it, which is pretty sweet. And so this one sorts by my use of a file, which is really, really awesome. It uses like SQLite. So it's a little bit hacky, and it uses timestamping. But like if we go back to my smart script, we can see that like this is the file we most recently used. And so it shows up at the top, which is pretty sweet. I'm working on a telescope plugin of my own, but you can see like there's no results because it doesn't quite fully work yet. So coming soon, be on the lookout for that when I decide to finally ship it. So T, it doesn't really matter too much what I put in this, just that it's an executable file that I can always do whatever I want with. Dude, totally. George is coming in with the wise wisdom. So I appreciate it, man. So boom. We're just gonna light this sucker on fire. How about that? Let's just start making cool stuff that I've had in my mind for like weeks or months now, because I obsess over Tmux. Anytime I open up this specific folder, really all that I would probably want to do is have get.mux.conf. Is it going to be like that? No. I'm just trying to figure out edit. This is the, okay. We're going to, I'm going to open up these two files basically. Side by side. Part of me even wants to get super nerdy here and just like line these up. And like anytime that I want to load this project, I would just want to call this. So I think that this is where it gets a little tricky, because I want to do a Vim split on two files. So maybe chat can help me. Maybe chat knows how to do this, but like there's this Tmux folder here, and it has these three files. And my idea is to just open, how to open all files in a directory in splits using Vim and CLI. So like path to args, vertical all. This is it, chat. Watch this. This is going to be magical. You ready? So we're going to touch T. We're going to invim T. We're going to insert the bash script. We're going to insert this. And the args are going to be everything in this directory. Is that literally it? So now if I go to Tmux, no, that's not what I want. Tmux. Tmux. Ah, that freaked out. That didn't work. That's all I want to do though. So Tmux. How about we just take a step back? How about we just run it and see if it works? This is CI Tmux. So that's the directory. Can I just do like this? Hey. But it opened, we want this. Oh shit, this opened like all of the files of dot files. That's funny, but it worked. Right, it totally worked. All right, so now we're gonna Tmux. All right, so there's still something going on here. Oh. I kind of want like Tmux conf on one side, and then like I want to like create a Vim layout of this, but we'll see if it works. Tmux. All right, so it clearly is frustrated at me. So in this directory, I'm going to yeah, that's the idea. Maybe I don't split this up. Yeah, so I don't like that. But you guys probably get the idea here. So maybe I'll just decide that I'm going to repeat that. Hey, what's going on, Mark? Mark's here, everybody. Mark's been on the channel before. Oh, good question. So you're wondering, like, what is this? What is this? Why does it look so different? Let's talk about that for a few minutes, because I've been meaning to share this more with others. So if we look at my fuzzy finder overrides, fuzzy.fish, I have changed a good amount of it. So it's in reverse order. So it goes top down. There's a rounded border. And so the little bound here. No info. I don't know if you know what info is, but it's like 1 out of 12,000, and it like filters it out, and it like gives you this line divider thing, and there's a lot going on. I could just show you. Fuzzy. So like, oh, his is pretty simple on the screenshot. Okay, never mind. I guess there isn't a good screenshot of all of the busyness. The marker. So when I don't have a marker here, we can do history. Nope, I don't have markers there either. Anyway, markers are a little bookmark with a nerd fun icon. ANSI is my way of saying when I overwrite the colors, please do them with a 16-bit color scheme. And then I'm able to clear the background with -1. I can clear the gutter with -1. So everything's semi-transparent, right? Everything's transparent. There's no like colors overwriting it. The prompt, the pointer, the marker, the border, the label, the header are all stylized. So like I have the blue outline and the cyan for the info and the yellow for the selection and the purplish magenta for that. And so these are all the color schemes I chose. Same with the fuzzy Tmux options. You can set the width and height of the Tmux pop-up. You can also overwrite things like history. So when I do history, I can set this little icon. And the prompt has this little clock thing, and these are just fuzzy overwrites to let me stylize it that way. And yeah, so that's what I do. It's super helpful to, I like to make things really minimal and get rid of anything that isn't necessary. And so that's what I do. Great question. Thanks for asking. Yeah, someone was asking about this. This is a built-in tool for Zoxide, and they give you like a preview of the directory, which is super cool. They like tell you like these are the things in the directory, and they measure it by the count. So if those that don't know, Zoxide is a tool that I use to jump between folders. So you can pass in the argument, and that's what drives my session manager. All of these are Zoxide entries. Now, underneath the hood, there is a number being used, and that number is based off of recency and based off of use. So if you've used it, in the past few minutes or the past few hours, it automatically gets a higher score. And then the more you use it over time, the bigger the number gets. And something to note about that number is every time that you use the session manager, every time that you use this, even if you choose an existing, if like .files, if you choose an existing session, every time you use it, it increases the score. So the session manager, the reason I called it smart is because it gets really good at knowing what you want before you even have to type. You just type a couple characters and you often can get exactly to the session that you would expect to get to. So very cool. I need to get better with like Tmux. So here, my Tmux plugin is ranking higher than the actual config. And we can tell that that's still not working. So let's go ahead and figure out what's going on here. So it doesn't want to play nice here. It clearly, I think I'm just deciding that go to file, that should be enough. So now if let's just kill Tmux. So now what we want to Tmux, and it's not working. All right, so let's play around with this. Let's figure out if there's some sort of exit code or some sort of, maybe it's not executable. So we absolutely got to turn this into some sort of workflow. So I used to have TT. I'm sure many of you have seen my original YouTube video on this plugin. And I originally had like 2 different binaries. And then over time, we got really good at consolidating it and having all the logic in one place. So shout out to the community for helping me with some refactoring. But I'm thinking I might just do TT. So if we go to fish and we go to ABBR, look, it's already being useful. And we go to ABBRT. I think that it's this guy. So let's just do like let's just do a touch T and chmod plus X T and invim T. Oh, wait, hold on. And echo. We want to pipe this into our T file. And if I do, what is it? I think it's -E. I might get ahead of myself here, but so this one has a T. Let's go to .files. So we'll just TT. Oh. Goodbye. We'll bring that back. We'll get us a new wallpaper too. Ooh, solar eclipse. By the way, I switched to WesTerm recently. Oh, we can get rid of this. I switched to WesTerm recently, so I get these like images. It is super sweet. That one's pretty cool. Ooh, that one's pretty. I can also do animated images, which is pretty sweet. Anyway, I get ahead of myself. So I needed to we're going to touch it, make it executable, echo the top line, hopefully create a new line after that, echoing it to the file, and then I could turn this into its own file as well. And then we create snippets. And I don't even think I could probably just create snippets using Raycast, or we could copy things here and we can just copy and paste things as we see fit. Part of me thinks that I may just want to allow there to be templates to choose from, which is something I do really a whole lot. Excuse me. So let's just see if it works. So we'll go to like another folder. Plugins. TT. Hey, it totally worked. So this is another one I visit a lot. So if I want to go to plugins, I want to like see these are all my Neovim plugins. There's my entry point. Oh, totally cool. So we got a nice little comment here. You've got a note script. So that's very cool. Feel free to share. If it's like a GitHub link, you can definitely share it if you want in the group. You write to the note file without opening the file. Yeah, totally. So it's some sort of like, yeah. I might want to zoom in. I'm sorry if you guys can't see super well. Yeah, so you would be like note, do thing, and it would like drop the note into that content into the note. Yeah, I like it. That's a cool idea. I use Obsidian right now as my second brain, and so a lot of things going on in there. But the crazy thing is, you can. I mean, look at that. There it is. Boom! It exists. Oh yeah, so you just like, I don't even care what the arguments are. I think I'd get a little bit annoyed of my history being cluttered by that, but maybe you don't care. I use Fish, so I get this like autocomplete history that pops up. So I try to be a little bit protective of that, so I don't muddy up my history. You could probably like ignore any and all note commands from your history, I bet, if you're trying to be clean about it. Speaking of clean, fish, sponge, shell. Oh, there it is. So this is the one I use. It does its best to keep my history clean on my behalf. And the way that this one works is if like it throws an exit code, it like silently over a few seconds or minutes, I forget exactly the timing of it all, it like cleans out bad commands from your shell history. So I really like this one. This one's great. Well, chat, do I make a PR and just propose the change? Do I ship it? I think I'm gonna be doing a breaking change. So I'd really like, if anyone has feedback for me. I haven't gotten any yet, I don't think. No one has commented, but I put it out here. I want to make a breaking change. I want to get rid of all of the Tmux variables and convert them to shell variables. So as of today, they're mixed. There are both Tmux variables and shell variables. And I don't think that that's a good idea. And I went ahead and in the fish project under the tfish file, like everything that needs to be configured aside from the actual Tmux file itself, you set the plugin here, right? The idea is you set the plugin here, and then all this goes away and gets moved to your shell definition, because you have to do this already. You have to put this in your shell if you want to use the T script. So to me, it made sense to just like, hey, why don't we just put everything here? What's the thought? So it's going to be a breaking change 3.0. I was thinking of deprecating, but I didn't think it was worth the effort. And then I'll be shipping this idea of what we just worked on, fish, today. I'll probably tomorrow morning, maybe I'll take the time to work out the README and to tell people how it works. Because if you create the T script and it's not an executable thing, it's not going to work. So maybe part of me thinks that I could make TT a script. Why don't we just do that? I kind of want to just do that. Let's just do, I mean, we're here. Why not? So TT becomes in Vim, go to file. I could touch TT. I could in Vim. So maybe we start here. And in this case, you don't need all this. You just have it like that. And maybe I can do like in Vim go. Cool. And then this one would be a lot more interesting. So we'll do TT and we'll say in Vim go to file, and then we'll do, what is this? We're going to do Tmux. You know what? I don't have any of these yet, so we're just going to add these. Watch this. LM. Man, Tmux. Let's see, man. Fuzzy Finder. These are a few I like to use, so we're just going to use them. So I want to, man, Tmux, boom, way easier just to type 2 characters. New window. Wait, how do I like new pane? Let's just start with the new pane. All right, so we're going to do new pane. Is it like create pane? Come on, what is it? Anyone know how we create panes with Tmux? Switch client, windows and panes. No. Using the Tmux CLI, not the prefix. Split window. Ugh. I didn't even think that I needed to do that. All right, so we're gonna just say like, okay, Tmux split window. And what are these arguments? Are they gonna, I want to do like vertically, and we'll do like a 30%, and then the command should be after, right? Shell command. So I want to do D. Now that may not make much sense to you, but it does to me. D is is for dev. So I showed you guys this earlier. It auto detects bin D. It auto detects what project it should be, and it automatically runs that project. So pretty cool. And I had an idea to repeat this idea that we're doing right now with the T, do it with D, and like add D to the root of a project. And if I hit D, it'll automatically decide what it should be, even if, well, actually I've already done it. I lie. It's down here somewhere. If there is a D file in the current directory, run that instead of the smart detection. So the only reason that we're doing this today so quickly, cough, cough default for thinking I just did this first try, is I already implemented this kind of pattern on my D script. So we're just sort of reapplying it to my T script. All right, so we got the real question. I see your question. I want to, this is recorded, so you can rewatch this all if you want. It's funny to me that we went through the first, like, how far did we go? We went through like maybe 20, 30 minutes looking at options and then not using any of them and just coming up with our own solution. So pretty funny. You can definitely rewatch it if you'd like. And there will be some like more official YouTube videos coming out, I promise. So I have some interesting topics to cover with like productivity and efficiency and stuff like that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. All right, so I like my TT script. It's kind of fun. We have my Josh project, my website. So let's just look at it. Split 3, I like it. So now if we run it, it's supposed to create a window split, and it didn't. The question I have is it too quick? Is it like we need more time for the session to be created? Yeah. So this is where the like Tmuxil and Tmuxinator and all of those guys have gotten it right, because they're able to do things like complex manipulations here. Because if we look at this and create a new window and we run it, boom, it does exactly what we want. So it's definitely not like that I wrote it wrong. Let's see. Start directory, environment, size, target pane, format. And then there's all of these guys. I wonder if there's like a help. Can I do help? Tmux split window help. Help. Nope. All right. So create a new pane. Horizontal. That's funny. V for vertical. You can set the size. So this is right. This is the way it works. Dude, another great question. We're asking questions. I love it. Am I using Space Launcher? or just raycast. Appreciate the shout out. As always, guys, you guys are awesome. I am using Space Launcher. So Space Launcher. I've been sort of teasing my next YouTube video, which is going to be on Space Launcher specifically. You guys have suggested some other really cool solutions, which I've definitely taken into account. But I have been a Space Launcher user for like 7 years or 6 years or something. Like a really long. That's a long time for development, right? For being on the computer and using anything. So it's been in my workflow for a super long time, and I love it. It makes me so productive. This sucks. Let's just say that. Why won't it acknowledge my split window? So I get that it's like a separate thing. Oh, you're having issues with spaces? Are you talking about like desktop spaces? Maybe that's what you're talking about. If so, I get it. Sometimes it like will try to focus the product, but not to the space. I have found if there are multiple windows open, it causes a problem. So if you have like 2 browser windows open and you hit Space Launcher, it's like it doesn't know which one to go to, and so it kind of freaks out. Maybe that'll help. So we can go to inspiration. We can go look at the other projects. But like, let's just kill it. And it clearly opens up Neovim. But from here, we're in Neovim. So maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's like an order of operations thing. Ah, it is. So that's exactly what it is. I need to like, it's like it was in Neovim and it was waiting for me to exit so that it could continue the script. I get that. So I guess we'll start here. So if I go here, it's going to split. It's going to do my thing. It's going to start my script. And I have it bound. I think it's Command-Shift-T. So once the project's running, I can like, it used to be Command-Shift-T. Maybe I got rid of it. I was able to like detach this. I could detach to a new guy, like to a new thing, to a new, I can't talk, a new window. You can eject panes to new windows if you didn't know that. But it's interesting that it focused the script, even though it was called second. So I don't know what that's about. Why did it do that? It ran this. Okay, so maybe there's like a focus pane up. This is where it gets a little hairy, where we're not using, let's see, focus event, focus, pane focus. Oh, these are hooks. These are hooks. How do I? Let's go back to this guy. How do I focus? Toggle focus on panes in Neovim, in Tmux. It's going to tell me select pane. Yeah. How to do it with the Tmux CLI. Select pane. Yeah. So again, we're like learning the basics of how Tmux works outside of like any helper utility extensions. But that should do it, right? I should just be able to tjosh. Not quite. Although in this case, this project will open the window. You guys aren't seeing it, but like, ooh, look, it opened up my local host. And that's not quite what I was going for. Yeah, Soul, I'm sorry, man. I haven't run into that problem too much, but I know it's going to contradict myself, but I've become a one desktop guy. I put everything on one desktop on one screen. When I'm streaming, I keep looking over because I have a second monitor for streaming. But when I'm not streaming, I don't use a second monitor. Everything's on one monitor and everything's on one desktop. And I super simplified my workflow, because having multiple desktops, it becomes this like mental game where you're like, where do I put my windows? What apps are they in? I know that my Blazing Fast video, I discussed like having primary purposes for each desktop. But now that I use WesTerm, and I use a tool called Stage Manager, which we haven't really had on stream, but I use Stage Manager a lot, which looks like this. So everything lives over here. So we'll kind of zoom out a little. So all my windows end up over here in the sidebar, and kind of a cool little way of dealing with windows. So they switch places when you choose your window. So you'll see like this becomes my code editor, and then this gets replaced. This is given to us by macOS. So macOS shipped this feature like 2 OSs ago. So I've been using that a lot, and all my windows are just here on one screen at all times. It's been super helpful. We got some suggestions. I kind of like this idea. So we need like layout snapshot feature. So we, at the beginning of the stream, yeah, kind of like Tmux workplace things. Yeah. So I agree. It's a good idea. When we were looking at some of the options, one of these was like telling us that we can copy and paste a command. This one. So like, let's just go to it. This apparently will give you structure. This is the way that your windows are organized, and you can like copy and paste this apparently. How did they phrase this? List windows. Yeah, so Tmuxinator gave us this idea. You can grab the layout of the current window by running this command. Then you can use it as a result for your layout object. So your layout object becomes that thing that is given to you that's spit back out here. So cool idea, interesting for sure. I keep things simple, like really simple. So I actually am thinking this didn't work. This split first and then, oh, interesting. So this split happens. And then you select a different pane, and then you run the command. That's my guess. Yeah, awesome. So it's just an order of operations thing. That's so cool. By the way, I'm just like a little bit impressed about myself that we got this working in one stream, because I was wholeheartedly thinking that I was going to need to integrate with like multiple options, like Tmuxinator and Tmuxil and Dmux and TWP or whatever, all these ones we looked at. I was like, am I going to integrate with all of them? I think the short answer is going to be no. Okay. So Kira, tell us more. What does manually look like? Do you just do things manually, or have you done any sort of automation like we've done? So like, with this script, right, I automated the action, but I mean, up until today, I never really automated things, to be honest. Now, part of me, I'm curious what you guys think, chat. And there's lots of people here. I'm super excited to be hanging out today. This has been a really good turnout. I don't know how much of this is going to be unique per project. Let me just say that. Part of me thinks that I kind of want to just create a new window for the D script and a new window for a test script and a new, like maybe I just always want to in Vim go to file on all my projects all the time. And like maybe if D fails with an exit code, like I auto close it, or if D isn't detected, I don't run. I just don't run it. Like if a D's file's there, then run it. And if it's not there, then don't run it. And so that would mean, if you guys can follow my stream of consciousness here, I would only need one of these files. Like this would just be the file I always use for every project all the time. And if I apply this D concept, the D concept being how to start a development server on a project, if it's not there, just don't mess with it. And if it is there, then use it. That may be the direction I go. Because if I want like lazy git, that's one key binding away, and I like the workflow. I don't plan on changing that. I hit like Command G, and I get lazy git. So I don't need to open lazy git every time I start a project. I almost always want to just go to a file when I open up a project. Like almost always, I want to just take me to a file. I guess there may be use cases where I'm trying to think of any time where I would be switching projects and not wanting to just immediately go to a file. And if the argument is, oh, I would want to start the dev server first, well, then I would just start the dev server, right? But in this case, I want to automate that step too. So I'm trying to think of like, what do I actually want to do? I guess like repos. Let's talk about repos. That one's a super specific one that I don't go to all the time, but I have to go to sometimes. See how low it is in my results. So with repos, I almost always am going to run sort of git repo clone thing. And after I run it, I usually just want to ingest that new repo and add it to my Zoxide results. And that project becomes the repo, like it just becomes the next thing. So part of me has been thinking lately that I might create a separate sort of global Tmux extension that lets me, or we could overload this guy, like Command A is for add new Tmux, new repo, and it does those steps that I just described. So I'll have to think about it. So I need a bathroom break. So if everybody else wants to take a stretch break, we're going to go maybe another 20 minutes. We're not going to go too long tonight, but I'm going to take a quick break. I encourage you guys to get up and stretch or something, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks. Yo, yo. This is fun. This was so fun, chat. I'll let people come back. All right, so let's talk about it, Akira. So you just do what you got to do. Can I get some feedback? Do you guys like this approach? Would you do something differently? Dude, YZ TV? What's up, man? I'm glad you're here. So we'll wrap things up. If you want, maybe I can create a super simple README instructions, and we'll ship this as a, hey, here's a new thing you might want to do. I had a little mental break here from the stream, so I immediately started thinking of ideas. I'm thinking either, I think in the future, I may want to start a project at the beginning of the day. So it may not be that I immediately want to open a file. I may want to like open up GitHub issues in the terminal. So I've got issues. And I may want to like, okay, I'm going to take that issue and I'm going to take a look at it and I'm going to take some time, you know, I don't know, processing the issue, working on what I want to do with it. Maybe I have this thing, we've talked about this in the past, but I have this like branch generator that's using AI. So I may want to do that and then like check out a new branch, and then I want to start working. So I guess in general, it shouldn't matter, because having the files be the first thing will save me a lot of time. Oh yeah, totally, man. We're at the end of the stream here. We've been going for almost 2 hours, but we got something pretty cool that we can do. So we have our like file that we can deal with, and we have very simple smart. Does this one not have a T script? So let's give it a, so we'll go back to T smart. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Yeah. Hi. You're like, why? What is Josh talking about? What is he doing? My bad. Good call. Good call. So have you guys seen this one? Is it story time? So my coworkers the other day opened VS Code. I don't know. I'm not the Primogen. I don't know how to tell stories quite as good as him. But I'm just talking this out. We're not like changing, you know, the world here with what's on the screen, just so you guys know. So like, this is the issue thing I was telling you about. Okay, here are my pull requests. Like here's that open thing I was telling you about. I can look at issues. So here are the issues assigned to me and something I'm working on. So I may want to do stuff here. I may want to go to Git and I may want to change a branch or something. I was even thinking like in the root of the project, I would still just create a D script at the root of a project. This is a monorepo for work. So like I would still probably create a D script and then use the D script here. But with this kind of project, I probably wouldn't be find files on the monorepo. I don't typically do that. I just go to a more specific area of the monorepo in order to do development. That's my pattern right now for using my session manager. So what to do next? I guess we'll just go to the README and we can, is this a bonus feature? Is this an additional thing? At this point, bonus. background, bonus, keyboard action. What do we call this? Workspaces? What was the term? During, I don't really want to write README files during stream. Just to be honest, it's kind of boring. So I probably won't do this right now. YZ, do you go by a different name? Is this a secret? If you know me and we've been talking, shoot me a DM. So I've been talking a lot. We've been on the Discord. For those that don't know, and have come recently into the stream, I have a Discord server now. Oh, nice. Okay, super awesome. Yeah, glad you're here. So we've got people in the Discord channel. He's one of them, and we've been having a good time. We've been talking about Tmux and Neovim and mechanical keyboards and Mac OS and like all the things on my channel, like is what we're talking about, and it's been a really good time. So I'll leave a quick link for you guys for those that aren't on the channel yet and want to join. I'll pass that in here right now. Copy. Ooh, interesting. And then maybe we'll see an influx. Maybe some more people will come join us. We'd love if you did. We had lots of people here today, which I love to see, more than usual. So maybe that's a lot of you community people. We've got an announcement channel so that if you want to kind of know when I'm streaming, I definitely let people know there as well. But yeah, let's talk about something. I got a few more minutes. We'll hit the 2-hour mark here in about 10 minutes. And so let's see, that's coming. How about I just give you guys a super quick Tmux tour? So if you're not already, I would recommend that you specifically customize your status bar. I like mine on the top because if you notice, my fuzzy finder's on the top and my telescope is on the top, and that's all like right here within my eyeline. And I always thought it was weird that all these default terminal shell commands, like they want you to put everything down here. I don't know if you can tell, but like, why is anything down there? I don't know. So I've done my best to avoid that as a whole. There's a recent addition to my session manager that lets me use Git projects as the root. So if we go to fish, and we can see here is .files config fish, .files config tmux. These are the places where they live. And both of these are part of the .files Git repository, which I just love. I just think it's really cool. So even like my site. So if I wanted to joshmadesky.com/content/posts, right? That session becomes Josh Madesky's source content posts, which feels a little bit long, but what it does is it automatically groups your sessions by repo. And so there's this concept that I've been coming up with lately that where I want to break down my sessions, and I can have multiple sessions open on the same repo on the same project. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to hyper focus on an area of the project. Like in this case, like posts. If I only wanted to filter posts and I only wanted to interact with posts, then I would create a session called posts. And now in the future, if we kill Tmux, if I go to posts, guess what? It's going to immediately jump me to posts, and my telescope entries are going to be all of my blog posts. And so I don't use this one too much, but now at this point, it's a great idea. That's probably something I'll start doing. And so I just really, really like that approach. I think it works super well in the mono repo space as well. And dude, I've been wrapping my head around this for years. I've been using Tmux for years. So this YouTube channel and this community I'm building and all this knowledge about this stuff is just me having spent a ridiculous amount of time thinking about it. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys like nerding out with me about the same stuff. Well, let's see. I'm just going to kind of catch up here. We got a second brain question. Am I going to make a second brain workflow? Maybe, but if you don't know, like, if you're not a second brainer, but like, it's very sensitive what's in there most of the time. So it's kind of hard to decide how I want to go about sharing that without exposing my deeper inner thoughts, right? So it's one of those things that it's a balance for sure. But maybe I'll become an Obsidian guy. I think in the future we're going to write an Obsidian plugin here on stream. I've talked about it before. It's going to happen at some point, so that will be fun for sure. And I guess once I'm doing that, I'll definitely be able to share a bit of how I do things. Yeah, so I totally get it. I mean, so you're saying like a lot of people are not Mac OS, Neovim people. Great. I totally get it. Most of my coworkers use VS Code. I'd say the majority of them use VS Code. I have one coworker that uses Vim, but like old school Vim, and he uses like the old school bundler for plugins and stuff. And I'm always like, man, you should switch, you should upgrade. And so I'm trying to encourage him to do that. And then I have another coworker that he like follows my content. And so like I've sat down with him and I've helped him with stuff. And if you guys join the Discord, like I'm totally willing to help with this kind of stuff and set it up. And if you're having issues with Neovim or you're not sure how to do something in Tmux, like let me know and I'm here to be a resource. Question. Yes. So I don't know how long you've been on stream. I'm going to call it Angus, maybe that's how you pronounce it. We run commands right now in here. In today's stream, we've decided to create a T script. And so it started up my whole project. And the reason that it did that is because of this little file. And this file has a set of bash commands that will run when we start the project. And my Smart Session Manager project runs this T script if it finds it in the project. So if it's in the project, it runs it. And if it doesn't, then it just does what you'd expect it to do. So that's the design pattern we came up with today. I think it's super dope. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like just now today in stream, everything's been a little bit faster. And that's kind of my obsession at this point is like, how do we just like use the keyboard less? You can ask Mark. Me and Mark have talked about this a bit in depth. But like, I just want to do things less. I want to type less. I want to think less. AI sure is helping with that, some of that stuff. But like, it's super fun. So that's the pattern. And let's see. Sweet. So we got some good conversations going on. What's funny though is some of you are in Twitch and some of you are in YouTube. So just so you know, we can't all see each other's conversations, but that's all right. I can see them. So Kira, you've got some coworkers. They reverted back to VS Code. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to use Vim. Like I'm not like a purist here. Like if VS Code works well for you, great. In fact, I've got plenty of productivity tips for VS Code, and there's some really cool extensions that do stuff kind of similar to what we're doing right now today. I have some like terminal plugins that I like to give my VS Code workers, coworkers, so that they can like execute commands, like autocomplete, useful like scripts for their project. So I've done stuff for VS Code users to make them more productive. And some of you might not know, but like you can put Neovim and embed it into VS Code, which is kind of a cool hybrid approach if you're into that kind of thing. Mark, you just got to move to Texas. Come hang out with us. Yeah, this is a super good idea. .t, like I do think a dot file in general is a good idea. I think it's a really good idea. So I am with you on that suggestion, and I may actually decide that that needs to be the standard, because the dot file implies, right, that it's like a developer thing and that it's kind of hidden, and that, yeah. So I'm with you there. I think that's a super good idea. Oh, dude, sweet. So Mark, you got ChatGPT in, I have a plugin. Is it active? No, I think I disabled it at some point. Plugins. Dude, I love this. Let's go. I'm so pleased that this works so well. Yeah. Oh, by the way, key binding, Control A. Pretty cool. I can toggle with key binding. Let's see if it works, because last time I used this, it like freaked out on me. Ah, boom. Is this the one you're using? Let me know. So this one was pretty cool. You can say like, what can you do? And what, you like write the buffer? No, you hit Command Enter. Boom. And I think there's like a preview. There are so many plugins, you guys. I have been doing research and I haven't used very many of them in depth besides Copilot. But this may be its own stream where we decide, hey, we want to do this. The other thing is I use something called LM Studio sometimes, and I have a really powerful computer, so I can actually generate AI large language models from my computer locally with open source. These are open source language models. So like Llama 2, everybody knows what Llama 2 is, right? At this point, it's Facebook's open source project. It takes a little while to load, and then once it loads, it can do its thing. But what's cool is that they find there's a way that you can expose it as something that matches the OpenAI spec. So they follow the formatting of OpenAI's tooling. And so my idea in the near future is, let's not pay ChatGPT and OpenAI for using a language model. Let's just like experiment with local ones and see which one works the best and is the fastest and gives the best results. It will eat up my battery more, of course, but I mean, I am plugged in most of the time, so I think it'd be a pretty cool project. Let's see. So you're using that one. Let's quit that. GPT. Yeah, Jack Moore. Yeah, that's the one I've been playing with. He had a really good YouTube video. That may have been where you found it, but like super interesting YouTube video explaining the potential for this plugin. Oh no, YouTube blocked you, huh? I'll post it. I have all the powers. Yeah, so this is the one, chat, if you're curious. But there are some that I want to find one that works with the local LLM and be able to play with that. So this was super fun, you guys. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, the chat's over, but you know, many of you are joining the, hopefully more of you will join the Discord server. It's always fun chatting with you there. I do plan on being in the Hangouts more in my Discord channel. So if you kind of just want to talk with me, or you want to ask me a question, or maybe you need a little one-on-one help with something weird and confusing that I might be able to get you unblocked on, come join us. It'll be fun. Until then, I will see you guys next time, and look out for that PR. It's coming very soon. Bye. Bye. It's time to go. See you later. I gotta learn to fade to black, huh? They're not leaving. Why aren't they leaving?